Bezrat Hashem. Okay, Chanukah, Tuf Shin Pei Dalet. Okay, Shpizeicha. The question is, why do we light the menorah at night time? There's going to be a bunch of other questions. Why do we light the menorah at night? Okay. We want to also ask, what's the connection between Hanukkah and Torah Sheba'al Peh? Another question we want to ask is, what's closer to Hashem, Torah Shebichsav or Torah Sheba'al Peh? I want to ask, what's with the Cheta Egel? And why did Moshe grind up? Why did Moshe grind it up and get the Chevra to drink it? What's the Indian of Paroi not wanting people to know that he needs to go to the bathroom? Yeah, then there's this really weird Gemara in Chulim we're going to look at as well. What's the kesher between this world and smoke? Ashan. This world is called Olam Shana Nefesh. Yeah, which is that means that Olam Shana Nefesh is Rosh Hashanah is a notrikon Ashan, meaning smoke. What's the kesher between this world and smoke? And for anybody who's Breslov here, why is it written on the front of all the Breslov Shrayim? Ha'esh sheli tukad ad bias Mashiach, ad shiaver Mashiach, ad bias Mashiach. Everyone knows that it's from Sichas Aran, I think they take. It's Eish sheli, my fire will burn until bias Mashiach. Okay. So you light the Ner Chanukah at night time, yeah? And the Gemara in Chulin says the shraga b'tehira my honey. What does a candle? How much does a candle help you in the afternoon? Yeah, and Rashi says shraga b'tehira, a candle in the afternoon. Ner b'tzaharayim eina meir. A candle in the afternoon doesn't shine. Eina meir doesn't illuminate. We're going to understand why that is, Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so there's many things here we could spend a whole share on for sure. But I hope people are going to understand. We're going to say things quite quickly and get to the point. The Torah Sheba'al Peh. Which came first? Torah Shebichsav, Torah Sheba'al Peh. Which one's higher? Torah Shebichsav, Torah Sheba'al Peh. Which one's closer to Hashem? Torah Shebichsav, Torah Sheba'al Peh. So the Torah is called black fire and white fire. What's the black fire? What's the white fire? Obviously, the Torah Shebichsav is the black fire. The Torah Sheba'al Peh is the white fire. The first letter of the Torah Shebichsav is a base. Yeah. So if anyone knows about Sophros, you'll see. I actually have it drawn out here. I think. So everyone see this? See this pay? Don't see that pay? Do you see that there's a base, a white base inside the pay? I didn't make the pay black, but you can see there's a white base. Can anyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside every pay in a Sefer Torah is a white base. Inside every black pay is a white base. Which means outside every black base is a white pay.
Oh, interesting. Right.
Yitzi, you look confused. You got that?
Yeah. Outside every black pay, on the outside is the base.
No. On the outside of every in the middle of every black pay is a white base. Which
show the picture again.
Outside of every black base is a white pay. So what comes before a base is an aleph. But an aleph b'milui is aleph lamed pay. So the Torah begins with the Peh Hashem. He spoke everything into being. So Peh is a mouth. That's Hashem's Peh. But it's the final letter of the Ois Aleph. Because that's really what comes before the base, the Aleph, that's Hashem. Torah B'chsav is the Ribono Shel Olam. Slicha, Torah Sheba'al Peh is the Ribono Shel Olam himself, mamash. It's called Torah Sheba'al Peh. Why is it not just called Torah Sheba'Peh? Like Torah Shebichsav. Torah Shebichsav, yeah? Torah that is in writing. Why is it not called Torah Sheba'Peh? Torah that's in the Peh. Why is it Ba'al Peh? That's in on the Peh. Why? Because we say Zoisa Torah She'asam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Israel Al Pi Hashem. The Torah Shebichsav is Al Pi Hashem Biad Moshe. It's on the mouth of Hashem Biad Moshe. So what's above the mouth is the mind. The mind is above the mouth. That's the Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's really what it's all about. That's the Ribono Shel Olam. That's where it's at. So now we think the Torah Sheba'al Peh is the Mishnayos and the Gemara, and no, because that's written down. You can't write down the Torah Sheba'al Peh. If you could, you wouldn't call it Torah Sheba'al Peh. Why would it be called Torah Sheba'al Peh? Just now it's Ba'al Peh, but we're going to write it down. You can't write down Torah Sheba'al Peh because Torah Sheba'al Peh is the Ribono Shel Olam. It's like this. You've got. I said this to Gabriel just a couple of days ago, that if you have, learn the Rambam. I'm learning Hilchos Kedushin right now, like your Kedushin. And he goes through endless examples of if the guy does it like this, he says, Mekudeshes like this, he says it like that, he's there, she's there with a shliach, without a shliach, with his father there, with a neder, without a neder, ksuba, without ksuba, on endless different options, yeah? And for every option he gives, you could break that down into endless different options. It's like between number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, inside each number is endless numbers. It's exactly what it is. So what is it? It's like you've got a guy, let's say you've got a businessman, yeah, who cares dearly about time. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about headache. He doesn't care. All he cares about is time. That's all he cares about, yeah? Now you've got another businessman who all he cares about is headache. He just doesn't want any headache. He doesn't care about time. He doesn't care about money. He just doesn't want any headache, yeah? They've both got personal assistants who are absolutely echad yachad miyuchad with the mamash. Imagine how different the kinds of decisions these assistants are going to be making for these CEOs. Everything's going to be different. When they're arranging when they're arranging a flight to do this, when they're arranging a speaking tour, it will look different. When they're arranging to get them a car, when they're arranging to plan their holiday, everything's going to look different. You with me? It's the man who's coming out through the details. So this blew, when I heard this for the first time, it blew my head off. This is the Ageres HaKodesh, the Alter Rebbe says in the Ageres HaKodesh that there's a different way of understanding. We've probably spoken about this before. The basic way that we've always understood Chochmah and Bina is that you put a seed in the ground and the seed grows into a tree. Yeah? That's like Pashat Pshat. The ground is like the womb and the seed is what grows. Yeah, but the Rebbe says it the completely opposite way. He says really it's like the ground, inside the ground is the potential for every single kind of tree. Apples, oranges, lemons, esrogim, figs, whatever. Inside the ground is the potential for every single tree. You put a seed in the ground, that's like a filter. And the ground grows through the seed. And the seed stops it. This is an apple seed, for example, yeah? It's a seed from an apple tree. That apple tree seed blocks all the other potential trees that ground could have grown into, and it's the ground expressing its apple tree-ness through the seed. You hear that? That's like, thing flips everything on its head. That's the relationship of Torah Sheba'al Peh to Torah Shebichsav. Torah Sheba'al Peh is the or. It's an or pashut that grows through the oisius of the Torah Shebichsav. Just like that apple tree, the apple seed, yeah? It blocked out all the other trees and it allowed the ground that had infinite potential to become an apple tree. That's exactly how the Torah Shebichsav works with the Torah Sheba'al Peh. The Torah Sheba'al Peh is or. It's an or pashut. It's a tzoyne v'chochmasoy mamush, an or pashut. And it grows through the oisius of the Torah Shebichsav. Everyone's with me?
Yeah.
That is the kesher between Torah Sheba'al Peh and Ner Hanukkah. It's just or. Torah Sheba'al Peh is just or. It's not Mishnayos. It's not Gemara. It's not Kabbalah. It's not. It's that. That's its expression of what it is. But it's the Rebbeinu Shloilem. The Goyim also have Torah Shebichsav. The Goyim also have Torah Shebichsav. And they've got the Shot and Shkin Gemaras as well, because that's not the Oral Torah. The Oral Torah you get from your Rebbe. That's why it's Torah Sheba'al Peh, and that's why it's called Shimush Talmidei Chachamim Loshen Tashmish. They're Mazriya. They give you the or. They're Mazriya, the Talmud Chacham, the man who's the Shamesh. Really, it's funny. It's the Shamesh of the the Shamesh on the menorah, who's the highest one, the highest candle. Yeah. He's just there to light up the other candles. That's his whole job. That's the job of the Rebbe, is to bring the or of the Masorah, of the Torah Sheba'al Peh, to the Talmidim. And the Talmidim then become the Rebbes, and that's called Masorah. But that's what's being handed down from Rebbe to Talmud. That's why it's called Shimushay Talmidei Chachomim from Loshen Tashmish, because it's a din of Zriya. Or Zarua L'Tzadik, B'diuk the Inyan, or Zarua L'Tzadik. So that's Torah Sheba'al Peh. Okay. I need to read you a little bit from the Oitzvus Chaim. From the Arizal. Okay. This is the very beginning of Sefer Oitzvus Chaim from the Arizal, Shah He'igulim, the gate of circles. Okay. Agdama Achas Dush Ak Adam Kadmon. This is the beginning of the whole thing. Okay. Agdama Achas Koileles Min Ein Sof Ad Ze Ampin. Yeah, we're going from. This is the whole first chalik of the Oitzvus Chaim. He's going to explain the formation from. I asked already Mechila from the Bowen Shalom if I shouldn't be doing this, but I hope it's helpful for people. So, okay, it says we're just going to read a few lines, but okay, no. Ki Techilas HaKoil, before everything, at the beginning of everything, higher Kol HaMetzias or Pashut. The whole Metzias was just an or Pashut, simple light. V'nikra Ein Sof. It's called Ein Sof. Lo sham shum chalal. There was not any empty space. V'shum avir panoi, and no empty air space. Ela hakol haya or ha'ein sof. The whole thing was called or ha'ein sof, just or. That was it. When it went up in his simple ratzoin, lahatzil hane'ed salim lesiba noidas, to emanate emanations for a reason that is known. Vehi likar rachum v'chanun k'yotzei, which is to be called rachum v'chanun, etc. Ki im ein ba'olam mishi yakabu rachmim memenu, because if there isn't a world with someone to be makabu rachmim, how can it be called rachim? V'chein al derech zeh b'chol kinuyim, and all the names. This is what we want to get to here. And then, therefore, Tzimtzem atzmai be'emtza ha'or shaloi be'nekudas ha'merkaz. He was metzamtzem himself in the middle of this or, from a central point. Amtziz shaboy, the middle of this whole thing, whatever that means. V'sham tzimtzem atzmai elet stadim. He moved himself to the sides. Vasvivus v'nisha chalal beintayim, and to the around area. V'nisha chalal beintayim, and it ended up a halal in the middle. V'zeh hayad tzimtzum harishon shel hamatzil ha'elyoin. This was the initial tzimtzum of the original emanator. V'zeh makom hachalal hu agul. This empty space was round. Hashva'achas mekol tzadov, and it was equal from every side. Ad shnimsa oilma atzilus v'choha ilamas nasunin toicha chalal azeh, that everything's going to be in this halal. V'o ein soif makifoy b'shava mechol tzadov, and the or ein soif surrounded it from all the sides, and it ended up this little, but an empty space. I don't think it's shaykh to space at this point. I'm not sure what that. No one knows what that really means. But anyway, everyone gets the idea. Yeah, that's the initial tzimtzum in the words of the Arizal, in the words of Chaim Vital and the Shem Arizal. So we've got Or Ein Soif. The Oitzos Chaim begins with Or Ein Soif. Doesn't begin with Ein Soif. We don't say anything about Ein Soif. We speak about Or Ein Soif. That the halal in which all of reality takes place happened inside the Or Ein Soif. What's the difference between Ein Soif and Or Ein Soif? Ein Soif has no need for the world. Ein Soif, there's nothing to say. It's the Tachlis Shleimus without any. There's nothing to say. One thing you can say is that it's not Or, because the Or Ein Soif was an illumination from the Ein Soif, whatever that meant. So the one thing you can say about the Ein Soif is it's not Or. It's not Or. Or came second. From the Or Ein Soif came the Ratzon to create the world. So it's a paradox, because, well, the Or Ein Soif came from the Ein Soif, so but it's a paradox. We can't talk about that for sure. But the Ratzon to create the world came from the Or Ein Soif. The Ein Soif was content as it was. No need to do anything, to go anywhere, to start anything, no projects, no need. I'm cool. I'm just sitting here happy with myself. No need for anything. That's Ein Soif. Or Ein Soif now is already the hispashtus. There's now desire. There's now Ratzon. You with me?
Well, is that the two parts? Is that the two parts of Kesser, the Oneg and the Ratzon? The Oneg is the pleasure that Hashem experienced in Himself, which led to the Ratzon.
Let's not say that though. But you're right. You are right. Let's not say that. But yeah, that the Or Ein Sof is where the Ratzon for the Bria came from. Ein Sof was just content as it is. So Ein Sof is not an inyan of his pashtus. It's not an inyan of going out. It's actually the opposite. It's the inyan of just being. I just am. I don't need to be. I don't need to be. I don't need to go. I am. That's enough. That's a bechina of constriction, contraction, self-containment. So it comes out that it was the midah, so to speak, of the Ein Sof that created the halal in the Or Ein Sof, meaning the very essence of the essence of who Hashem is more kashur to the halal than he is to the Or. Did everyone get what I just said there? We said the difference between Ein Sof and Or Ein Sof is that the Or Ein Sof is going out, is moving, is expansion. It fills everything. The Ein Sof doesn't do that. The Ein Sof is happy in itself. No need for creation bichlal. That's a level of containment. So the halal panui, the actual halal, is more similar to the essence of the creator than it is to the Or. The actual halal itself, the tzimtzum itself, is more heilig than the Or, than what was mutzumtzam. You with me?
Yes, question.
Sure.
The Ein Sof is infinite. There's no end to it. So how can we put a label of containment or contentment if there's no end?
Exactly. The point is, it's Ein Sof. Ein and Sof. It's just negation. It's just negative. We can't say there's nothing. Or Ein Sof, that's already something that so when you say, when we always talk about it, the basic thing we're always talking about is we're always talking about Or Ein Sof. That's why the Arizal begins with Or Ein Sof. We never talk about Ein Sof because there's nothing to talk about. It's Ein Sof. It's not that it's just endless, it's Ayin and it's Sof. There's nothing to talk about. But the point is that it's not expanding, it's not doing something, it's not going anywhere. That's the Bechina of Tzimtzum. So it comes out like this. You remember the whole Indian of Nahamad de Kasufa? That Hashem created the world, and then because we were just receiving and we weren't able to do anything, the Ramchal talks about it, that he had to, the whole Shir Sakalim happened and all the whole thing, so that we could earn our reward, because otherwise we were just getting bread of a shame, because we were like embarrassed because we were just getting these freebies. Yeah. So really, that's the opposite of Hashem. I'll be the oimek of the thing is Hashem is the giver, and we were receiving. So when it comes to Ruchnius, your level of closeness to something is dependent on your similarity to it. Like two malachim who've got the same job is one malach. And if one malach has two jobs, he's two malachim. It's to do with similarity, yeah, because there's no space. So when Hashem was giving and we were receiving, that was Nahamad de Kasufa. We were it was bread of shame. We felt so far from God because we were completely opposite of him. He was Mashpia, we were Makabal. How much more different does it get than that? You with me? Let me ask you a question now. Hashem is what's called Chiyuvi Hamatzias. He's like an existence that is. Why? Just is. He just is. He's not dependent on anything. He's not dependent. He's not a dependent existence. Everything else is called a Metzias Efshari, which means a dependent existence. We depend on the Rebbeinu Sholem. We depend on God. So you've got Hashem, who's called Chiyuvi Hamatzias, and then you've got everything else, which is called Efshari Hamatzias. It's a dependent reality. Now let me ask you a question. When you go out of this world and you start going up into the higher worlds, they start becoming progressively transparent to the creator. More and more transparent until you get to Atsilas, which is like just a clear glass, completely transparent. But every level you keep going up, it becomes more and more transparent. In the Olam of Yetzirah, yeah, Hashem is, or even we're in the bottom of Asiya. So in even the higher levels of Asiya, we start to become aware of God. In Olam Yetzirah, you become very, very, very aware of God. In Olam Abriya, you're overwhelmed by God. You can't not notice God. In Olam Atziyas, you can't even go into Olam Atziyas because there is only God. Yeah? So the worlds become progressively transparent, meaning that they show you that they are dependent on him. When you go into the world of Yetzirah, you know that this world is dependent on God. You go into the world of Bria, you know for sure this world is dependent on God, etc. Yeah? How godlike is that? How similar to God is that? These worlds basically claim, I am not real and God is real. That's the opposite of God.
Right.
The midas of the higher worlds are actually opposite. God doesn't in any way say, I'm dependent on something else. Only the higher worlds say, I'm dependent on something else. That's very different to God. Whereas in this world, yeah, this world says, I am not dependent on anything else. That's what this world says. Look at the wall in front of you. Look at your steering wheel, wherever you're sitting. Look at this world around you. Everything looks back at you and says, yeah, I am. I was yesterday. I am today, and I'm going to be tomorrow. And I'm not dependent on anything. That is very, very godlike. That's why in this world, there's what's called Elohim Acherim, other gods. This world is so godly. It's so godly. So this is what Rav Mana said to me. He said that in our generation, this insane egocentricity that's overtaken us, unlike any other generation, yeah, where we all feel that we're the point of existence. Go back 100 years, a couple of 100 years, and everybody was very, except for like, 2 people in the country, everybody was very clear that this world was not about them at all. They were just a pawn in the game. They were just a victim of the nobility, of the kings and the emperors and the governors, etc. Yeah, not in our generation. We all think we're God. So that's what Rav Manis said. He said, when the Rebbeinu Shalom finally reveals himself, we're going to have a point of reference. We're going to be able to turn around and say, now I get it. I thought I was God, but now I see. I had a musag of what God was. I just mistaken myself for him, but now I got it. Now I understand. Whereas if we didn't have any sense of independent reality, then it would be a very distant concept. You with me? Okay. So we got that clear. So let's just to summarize it very, very quickly, is basically this world, because of its egocentricity, because of its apparent independence, is actually very godly. In fact, it's more godly than the higher, more refined levels, because it's actually godlike. It declares its own independence, its own independent reality. So there's a Gemara in Chulin that says like this: Amar Lefanav is really worth sticking with this because it will transform our Hanukkah if we stick with this. I'm just going to go until I go. So if you need to drop out, just drop out. It's fine. No offense will be taken. Okay. Amar Lefanav Rabbeinu Shloilem. Oh, sorry, that's one thing. It's a Gemara in Yuma, not in Chulin. That was the about the shraga. That was about the candle in the evening. Sorry, a Gemara in Chulin. It's in Yuma. It says the Amar Rabbi Levi. Why isn't the voice of a man heard in the day like it is at night? And the Gemara goes on, Mipnei Galgal Chama, because of the, listen to how abstract this is, how mystical. Mipnei Galgal Chama, the sphere of the sun, Shemanaseh Barakia, it kind of like scratches against the Rakia, Kachara Shemanaseh Barazim, like the plane of a carpenter on wood. In the daytime, some kind of holy sphere is scratching against some kind of other heaven, just like a carpenter scratches and sands down a piece of wood. And that's why you can't hear a voice in the day when you can hear it better at night, because that's not happening. And this is the point now. Loi Shmei. The Chirga de Yoma. Chirga is sawdust. So it's called Chirga de Yoma. And its name, this sawdust of the day, Chirga de Yoma, its name is called Loi. Lamed Aleph. No, not. The name of this sawdust is called No. So Rashi over there says like this: the high chirga loy shmei, that this sawdust, its name is called No. Loy, no. The high, this Pesolis and Nasuris, who near Amud Shochama the Yoma Mamash. You're in your house, yeah, it's the morning, the sun's streaming in. Yeah, you don't see it. But if there's sawdust in the air, yeah, you see the shards of light coming into the house. You with me? This is this thing called the Chirga Yoma, and its name is called Loi. Its name is No. No. And Rashi says, again on the daf, he says, Loi Shemei, its name is No, Ki Shemoi Loshen Ayin. It's like iron. It's not. Anyone here's where we're going with this? So this sawdust that has a kind of mamashas to it, it's the sawdust that allows you to see the sun. Otherwise, the sun is streaming in through the window. You don't know that. When there's sawdust in the air, now you see those shards of light. You're absolutely aware of the sunlight. What else does it? Smoke. The other day I was in the front room with my son learning, and it's in the morning. My wife had just made an omelette for one of the kids, and all of a sudden you see these shards of light because the house was filled with smoke, and there was shards of light coming through. The light was always there. It was just made visible because of the smoke, just like it's made visible because of the sawdust. What's more heilig? Light or smoke or sawdust? What's less physical? The light. But you see it through the sawdust. You see it through the smoke. Everyone's with me? Okay. So let's now try and answer all these questions. I think we've got enough information to answer the questions now. What's the inyan with the Chet HaEgel? And why did Moshe grind it up? after Hashem gave us the Torah, the Or HaTorah, Doiraisa, the Or, yeah, we went and made the Egel. Egel is Loshen Egel, circle. That's the Indian of the Chalal Panui, what we just learned about. The Egel that Hashem made, Shah Egulim. That halal is called a circle. That's the tzimtzum. So what does Hashem do? What does Moshe do? He takes the egel and he grinds it into dust. He takes the physicality of this world and he breaks it down into dust. That is what the Torah needs to be visible. The light needs the dust. It needs the physicality, but not as a when it's as it is, as a single, as a davar gush, as a solid object, it blocks the light completely. But once it gets ground down into dust, then it actually reveals the light. Mamash. So that was the Chet Egel. Why was it that Paro was trying to show the Chevra that he didn't go to the bathroom? Because Paro was such a Balgaiva that he was miscovering to Ein Sof. He confused himself for Ein Sof, not or Ein Sof, like a regular Balgaiva. A regular Balgaiva wants to own everything and go out and expand, yeah? Paro was so deep that he was trying to emulate Ein Sof. I don't even need to go to the bathroom. No hispashtus whatsoever. You with me? The deepest klipa mamash.
Monday, you said that the lowest creature is the one that consumes but doesn't excrete.
And that's why that's why the highest is represented in the lowest. The very, very highest level, which is not wanting to go out. Ein Sof instead of or Ein Sof, that is mirrored Zeh Umazeh in the lowest of all levels, Machnis Ein Amatzi, which is exactly the Indian of Paroi, or at least he wanted to be that. So now, why is this world called smoke? Can you do as we've just explained now? Because it's through this world that you see the ore. Without smoke, without oilem shana nefesh, without the physicality, there can't be the physicality is much more godly than Ruchnius, because Ruchnius says, I'm a nivra, I got created. Look, you look through me and you see God. Physicality says, I didn't get created. Me. That's very godly. That's mamash godly. But you need to take it and you need to either grind it up or burn it. It can't, as it is, as physicality, yeah, it blocks God Lagamre, much less holy than the higher worlds. But once you burn it, turn it into smoke, or you crush it, you grind it and turn it into dust, yeah, then we see the or mamash. That's mamash godly. And that's why what Nachman says on the front of the Svarim, it says, Eish Sheli, Tukad Ad Bias Mashiach. The Eish Sheli, not Eish, not my Eish, the Eish of Sheli, the Eish of the ego is being burned. Tukad is Loshen to burn a korban. Until Bias Mashiach, that's our avoida, is burning up the physicality. The Ashur is what Hashem reveals himself through. That makes Hashem visible, like the sawdust. And now we understand why you light Ner Hanukkah in the evening. Why? And this is absolutely mind-blowing. Is that you have a cup is made, a Ner is made of a kois and of shemen and of a psila, of a wick, and it needs air. Yeah, it burns the air, it burns the shemen, doesn't burn the cup. It also burns the psila, it also burns the wick as well. It also burns the wick as well. All of those things are getting burned up. But the cup, which is transparent, isn't getting burned up. That just stays there. It's just a means to an end. All the higher Ruchnius worlds are all means to an end. What's the end? This world. This is the end. So the cup stays as it is. The shemen is getting burned. The basila, the wick is getting burned. The avir is getting burned. But you know what else is getting burned? The choshech is getting burned. The choshech is fuel for the fire. That's why a candle doesn't burn brightly in the day, because it's lacking choshech. Choshech is like the oil. It's a more intrinsic part of the candle than the oil mamash. It's not, it's actually, it's delek for the candle. It's not like with a mazgan. When you turn on the mazgan, yeah, the cold air pushes away the hot air. When you turn on a light, the light transforms the darkness into light. It actually becomes light. That's exactly the same way as the sun shining through the sawdust or shining through the light. And that's how we feel the Chalal HaPanui. The Chalal HaPanui, which is the empty place of the physicality, as it is, doesn't show Hashem. But the light's pouring in there, like the light is pouring into your salon window in the day. But when we take the gashmias of the world and we break it down, or we burn it up, then what's left, that gashmias that has been broken down, is dafka where the revelation of the Rabbanu Sholem is. And that's why we light the candle in the evening, because we're actually burning the darkness. And you could say, P. Schok maybe, that after Chanukah, the days start getting longer, because we just all burned up a whole bunch of darkness. The Seder. Okay, we should be zeicher to lichtige Chanukah b'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you, Rav. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Well,
Amen. Yeah.
well, you don't have to do this, but it's really kedai to do just a quick summary at the end of the shir. Just if you could just recap.
I'll do that now very quickly if you want. If you got another minute, it's good for the tape anyway. You said that Ruchnius is actually much more distant to God than Gashmius, because Ruchnius shows you that it is a dependent reality, whereas Gashmius says I'm an independent reality, which is what God is. So in truth, Gashmius is much more godly than Ruchnius. For the past few years, I've always been saying that Gashmius and Ruchnius is the same thing, and we're just here to serve Hashem. But that's not the Chiddush is that Gashmius is actually much more godly than Ruchnius. But we have to transform it. We have to break it down. We have to break it down, because as it is, as an actual Gashmius, yeah, then it just blocks out the light. It blocks out the Rabbanu Sholem. But when we actually break it down into its component parts, or we burn it up into smoke, then the light of the Rabbanu Sholem can actually shine through it, and it's a much greater revelation than any of the higher worlds. And that's why the cup of the candle is the only thing that isn't used up. The glass kli that is merames to Ruchnius is the only thing that remains from the candle. Everything else,
it doesn't become Ruchnius. It doesn't become Ruchnius.
Not that it doesn't become godly, because Ruchnius is just a means to an end. All of the higher worlds,
it doesn't become. It's not a chefsishal mitzvah. It's just a keli to hold the mitzvah.
And the real mitzvah is always in Gashmius.
So first of all, is that your chiddush on the Gemara and Chulin?
Well, kind of. No, I said once I'm gonna just stop recording.